Good evening and thank you for joining us for KREM 2 News at 5 tonight. I'm Mark Hanrahan.
And I'm Whitney Ward. We're glad you're here. We begin tonight with the Seahawks and the return of Russell Wilson. They took on, of course, Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers.
It was a doozy. Hawks fans had huge expectations after Wilson's quicker than expected return. KREM 2 Sports Director Brenna Green joining us now. And Brenna, those expectations apparently a bit too high today.
Yeah, in a game that featured no shortage of quarterback storylines between Russ returning from injury and Rodgers returning from COVID, neither of them had exceptional nights. But let's focus on Russ because he is the one we all care about, and he had a much worse outing than Rodgers. Wilson just could not get it going. It was part of Russell problem, part of protection problem. Russ finished 20 of 40 for 133 yards and 2 interceptions. He only averaged 4 yards per pass, which is not good. Wilson just didn't feel like he got comfortable all day as he was hit 4 times, 3 of which were sacks. To put it simply, Russ looked, well, rusty. This was the first time in Russell Wilson's career that he was shut out, so I think that illustrates how bad of a game this was for him. Another startling thing for the Hawks today was their lack of a rushing attack. You would imagine with a quarterback coming off of an injury that directly impacts throwing, they would rely heavily on the run game. That did not happen as the Seahawks only handed it off 11 times in this game. Their running backs totaled for 43 yards. You add in Wilson's scramble yards, and the Hawks had 75 rushing yards overall. Just a bizarre plan when Russ repeatedly proved throughout this contest that he was not firing on all cylinders. The Seahawks defense did everything they could, though, to keep the Hawks in this one, including a huge 3rd and goal interception of Rodgers in the 3rd quarter. Green Bay got into the red zone 5 times and only came away with 2 touchdowns and 1 field goal. Of course, you could say that Green Bay shouldn't have gotten into the red zone at all, but generally I think this was a pretty good performance. By the way, Pete Carroll agreed with me post-game. Both of Green Bay's touchdowns came in the 4th quarter, so the Seahawks offense was given plenty of time to stay in this thing. They just couldn't seem to do anything. It was a tough game to watch today.
Oh my goodness. It looked like the ball sailed on Russell Wilson a lot tonight. Yeah. Like a lot of his passes were high, right? Like he wasn't maybe getting the full grip on the ball.
He had zero connection with Lockett. He only had 1 reception, and I think I'm not sure about DK's final numbers, but it was below 5 receptions. And that anytime you have those 2 below 10 receptions combined, you're not going to win the game.
Yeah, and you know something's wrong because that's very unusual.
Yes, absolutely, especially with Lockett. See, Russell and him are so connected.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Meanwhile, not a boring day in Montlake, even if it all felt inevitable about a week ago. North Central and Eastern Washington alum Jimmy Lake is out as the Huskies head coach. UW fell to FCS opponent Montana to begin this season and struggled to find their footing, especially on offense all year long. Lake went 4-5 this season and 7-6 overall in his UW tenure. Get this, both Lake and Nick Rolovich were hired in the same offseason, and neither of them are going to end up coaching in an Apple Cup as last year's was canceled due to COVID within the Cougar program. Lake will receive his $10 million buyout, which was a bit in question after an incident on the sideline. Right here you can see it with a player 2 games ago that led Lake to being suspended for this week's game. He made contact with the player's helmet in an aggressive way after agreeing in to break up that fight. There also was a report yesterday from the Seattle Times that while Jimmy was the Huskies defensive coordinator in 2019, he shoved a player at halftime. UW Athletic Director Jen Cohen said this in a statement. No one wanted Jimmy to succeed more than I when I hired him in 2019, but ultimately this change is necessary for a variety of reasons, both on the field and off. And boy, is this going to be an interesting Apple Cup in a few weeks.
Oh my gosh.
My goodness, yeah. The Apple Cup between interim head coaches, right?
Yeah, it's I'm sure that's never happened before.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
Who would have thought this is where we would end up right now?
It's incredibly unreal that 2 years ago we went through this as a state where, you know, both head coaching changes, and now we're going to have that again.
Right.
Unbelievable, Brett. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, well, we want to talk about the weather because certainly it has been blowing all day long. So you know that there are very strong winds, a wind advisory now in effect for the Spokane area. That lasts until 7 tonight. And continued wind gusts of 35 to 45 miles an hour are expected from Spokane all the way down to Lewiston. And as a result, Avista reporting multiple power outages across eastern Washington and North Idaho. The situation is improved over what it was just a few hours ago. I believe at its peak it was about 3,200 customers without power. That number has certainly gone down since then, but still quite a few more hours of gusty wind conditions.
I want to get straight now to meteorologist Michelle Boss joining us here in the studio tonight. Michelle, how long is the wind going to stick around for, and how strong are the gusts going to be tonight?
Okay, so we're seeing those wind gusts still in excess of 40 miles per hour right now. They'll die down a little bit tonight, but guess what? They're going to be coming back even stronger tomorrow afternoon and early evening. So just be aware of that. Here's a look at the peak wind gusts today. 41 miles per hour at the Spokane Airport. Out in Post Falls, though, 51 miles per hour, 48 miles per hour in Chelan, the Spokane Valley, 43 miles per hour. Right now, current wind speeds, nothing to sneeze at either. Sustained winds of 28 miles per hour in Spokane. If you step outside, boy, the wind is just constantly blowing. Right now, current wind gusts 40 miles per hour in the Spokane area, a little bit less across the Idaho Panhandle. But look at those temperatures. At least it's a mild wind. 57 in Spokane and Deer Park, 58 in Coeur d'Alene, and temperatures in the 60s from Grand Coulee down to Othello, nearly 70 degrees right now in Lewiston. Here's a look at the high wind watch for tomorrow. We're looking at possible wind gusts in excess of 50 miles per hour with the peak winds from about 4 p.m. until 8 p.m. Again, this is for tomorrow. Satellite and radar pictures showing winds. Really the big impact is you're not seeing a whole lot of rain outside of the mountain areas. Here's a look at the next 12 hours. Windy through about 7 p.m. and then those wind gusts will die down to about 35 miles per hour. Very mild overnight. Temperatures remaining in the upper 40s and 50s, but again, a windy and mild day tomorrow, then much colder on Tuesday. A little bit of sunshine, but highs only in the low 40s.
All right, Michelle, thank you very much. By the way, if you are in a safe place and you can, send us your photos or videos of that wind and the potential damage tonight. You can send them through the Near Me section of the KREM 2 app, or just text them directly to us. That number right there, 509-448-2000, and your photos and your videos may end up right here on KREM 2 News.
In some of the day's other top stories today, 5 people in Spokane's Hilliard neighborhood now have to find another place to stay after an early morning electrical fire.
According to the Spokane Fire Department, the fire started in the walls of that home at around 6:30 in the morning. Firefighters quickly responded and were able to contain the fire quickly as well, so the home clearly is not considered a complete loss.
No, I didn't see no flames. I didn't see that. But my friend said that the whole basement from inside the walls was smoking. So like it was smoking from the outside, or from the inside out.
While firefighters were able to contain the fire to one area, they say it's uninhabitable until repairs are made. All 5 people in that home are okay and were able to escape without injuries.
All Spokane public libraries remained closed today after threats were made online early yesterday morning. Spokane police described those threats as violent and made toward an unidentified library location. A spokesperson with the library said they closed all of the branches out of an abundance of caution. Police are investigating those threats, but it's still unclear when the libraries will be able to reopen.
Starting tomorrow, a new statewide vaccine requirement for large events goes into effect. Anyone 12 or older attending an indoor event of 1,000 people or more must show proof of vaccination. It also applied to outdoor events of 10,000 people or more. A negative COVID-19 test taken within 72 hours will be accepted as well. So sporting events, concerts, and fairs will now require your vaccination card as well as your ticket to that event.
All this week here on KREM 2, we have been highlighting just how much the Inland Northwest is booming. And for one freeway, it's been 80 years in the making and it's still not done.
You've probably guessed we're talking about the North-South Freeway or North Spokane corridor. That's being done to speed up the freeway's completion. Coming up after the break.